Now, President Trump has been criticized for his pretty lackluster response to the COVID-19 outbreak. As cases keep popping up into the United States, a few deaths have been reported. And by the way, the recent news that there was somebody who has coronavirus or possibly showing up at CPAC and shaking a bunch of hands. So now that's led, of course, to Matt Gaetz basically quarantining himself. Ted Cruz quarantining himself. It's funny about Matt Gaetz is that he was literally the guy mocking coronavirus with the gas mask. Oops. And then somebody who even shook Mike Pence's hand, or as we like to call him in the show,
Mike Pounds.
Yeah, Mike Pounds. So interesting. Okay, now, based on all of this, right, on Monday, yesterday, Donald Trump came out and said he's going to be holding a press conference on Tuesday. All right, well, that's today, in which he would outline his plan to combat the economic damage done by this pandemic. Notice how it's the economic damage, right? But not related to the human suffering. Okay. So no, we're gonna focus on the stock market. We're gonna focus on the economy because that's the most important thing, right? Now there is this one other additional problem with that. There's no actual plan because, of course, there's not. There was never a plan. There is no plan. Now, Trump officials told CNBC that White House is not ready to roll out any specific economic proposals in response to the widening impact of the coronavirus outbreak. Wow. And that is despite Trump's declaration that he would come out and he would actually roll out these proposals on Tuesday. So look, Trump lied. Wow, what a shocker, right? Shocked. Okay, not shocked. So nobody's surprised about that, okay? Now, what is interesting is how unprepared his staff was. Now, wait a minute. Sources tell CNBC that some officials were stunned by Trump's claim on Monday that he would hold a press conference Tuesday to announce an economic plan. I'm sorry. That is ridiculous. No, I would gladly hold a press conference Tuesday for some economic relief today. That's what this is, right? So in saying that, maybe he hoped to stop the markets from plunging even further like they did on Monday, obviously to no effect, right? So now one official tells the network that Trump's declaration was, quote, news to everyone on the inside. Have you not been paying attention for the last, 3 years? Donald Trump, this is what he does. Shouldn't you be used to this? Donald Trump comes out, blurts something that's obviously not true at all, without any sort of plan or any consultation to his advisors, and he comes out with a policy proposal randomly. Again, shouldn't you be used to this by now? It happens all the time, literally. But here's the thing. Maybe it's because on the other issues that he does this on, I don't think many people in his administration even care about those other issues. Now, this is different because, well, there's not literally money on the line. See, with COVID-19, you have part of the reason that stocks are crashing, right? And the other reason, of course, is Saudi Arabia not getting a deal with OPEC, and then you've got fights over oil, et cetera, right? So the markets have not been doing very well. And now the Trump administration, people in the administration and Trump himself are like in panic mode. And the reason is because that affects them either personally, since they might have money in the stock market, or they depend on the health of the stock market as a way to say, look at how good we're doing. Please reelect us. I'm just saying. Now, that's not true. The stock market, Wall Street is not a good barometer of how the economy is actually doing. Main Street is more of a, like average wages and people in work, et cetera, right? There are other better markers, right, of how the economy is doing. But Trump and mainly a lot of media, especially conservative media, only tend to focus on stock gains, right? And stock prices and stock markets, et cetera, and how it's all doing. Okay. Now, the person who doesn't understand the most happens to be the president of the United States, who doesn't understand basic economics. And the fact that though Wall Street was doing good, Main Street was and still is struggling, very much so. Now, as for relief, another official tells CNBC that the economic proposals are, quote, not there right now, and that a lot of details need to be worked out. Well, if it's one thing Donald Trump does, it's detail. Actually, no, he doesn't. Just kidding. Now, really, I think the discussion going on in the White House among advisors is, okay, how can we cut taxes on the rich and get away with it? That's usually their go-to move. Tax cuts. And shocker, that's exactly what they're going to. Some ideas floated are a payroll tax cut, which would help some people. All right. Not a lot, I don't think. But hey, another tax cut, bold. Now, the effect of that would, of course, starve Medicare and Social Security, which pays, payroll taxes. But that will be also a great relief to the people who can't work and earn money because they have to, quarantine themselves because they might have coronavirus. You can't work, you can't earn money, which means you can't pay the payroll tax, which means if you can't pay the payroll tax because you're not making money, tax cut's not really going to help you all that much because it's all on income. But hey, more tax cuts, guys. Another idea is tax cuts for transportation, airlines, of course. Now, they also hinted at emergency support for businesses looking to guarantee hourly workers are protected from job loss and lost wages. Well, now, how would they do that? What's that emergency support mean? Well, it's not for the worker. No, they instead give the emergency support to the business. So we're going to give money to corporations, to businesses, and say, well, you better not let anybody go. You better guarantee that when they come back from their, several week long quarantine, well, I think it's about 2 weeks, that they still had their job. You got to pinky swear and promise them that they'll have a job when they come back before you get this money. Right. That'll work. So give money to, businesses, but not the actual workers who are being affected, who, by the way, still have to pay their bills, right? They're not getting any support for that. Bills are still due. They still can't work. Well, and there's no promise that they can keep their job, but we can't give them money because, that would be socialism. Now, one more proposal that's been floated here is that Trump intends to speak with representatives of the Small Business Administration to create potential loans for small businesses affected by response efforts from federal, state, and local governments. Great. Loans. We've got loans, guys. Loans, by the way, that's money you have to pay back. These are the ideas that the administration are putting forward. And we don't even have a full plan yet, right? And so these are just ideas being bounced around. But notice how they're all focused on corporations and giving them more money and focused on tax cuts. Because of course, right? Nothing about guaranteed wages, free testing, or free health care, at least for the duration of the crisis, which would make sense. Like, okay, let's have a temporary program to make all of the, medication that's necessary free. And we're going to make sure that while you are, out on quarantine to encourage people to stay home. We're going to give you 2 weeks worth of pay. Here you go. Government program. We're going to give you some money to stay home to make sure that you don't spread coronavirus everywhere. That would be smart. Instead, we'll just give you some tax cuts. That's it. That's the plan. And really, that's not even the plan because we don't even know. What do you expect from a president who, look, doesn't plan, for one, doesn't think, doesn't really have any sort of intellectual curiosity, who also loathes the poor and has zero leadership abilities? I wouldn't expect much either. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.